Most small wheelhouse boats put the emphasis firmly on practicality over performance. Not this boat. This is the new Hydrolift X-27 SUV, and this turns convention on its head by putting performance firmly ahead of practicality. We've been out and had a really good play in this, and what's so striking is what a focused driver's boat this is. For an SUV, it just feels completely different. It feels like an out-and-out sports boat, and you can tell that it's been designed by a powerboat racer, because that twin-step hull, once it gets the air under it, it really starts to fly. So at 30 knots, you're burning about 40 litres an hour, and it running along very tidily. In the big stuff, you can still get the occasional slam if it lands on one of the chines, but in a straight line it rides nice and flat. But where it really comes into its own is where you start upping the speed between 40 and 50 knots, where the air gets under it, it lifts up and it almost cushions the landings. So let's see if we can demonstrate that a little bit about how it drives and how quickly it goes. So we've got the engine trimmed down, put the power on. It's such a narrow hull, it takes a little bit of time to get on the plane, and then once you're on the plane, it really starts to fly. It is deceptive how quick it is. We're doing 33 knots very comfortably here, and at this speed, if you keep the engine trimmed in, you can really corner nice and quickly. Digs in, spins round. There's a bit of a bang and it's on the chine. Let's go the other way. Oh, there we go. But then look what happens when you really up the speed. Start to trim the engine up. Suddenly it's riding a whole lot more softly. You can feel the air getting under it. Get a bit more trim on the engine. Now it's starting to fly. Now we're doing 45, 46, 48 knots. A little bit more trim. 49, and now we're up to 50 knots. 5,800 RPM, and it's just flying. Absolutely flying. And it's not even slamming anymore, it's just lifting up and down, coming down. A little bit of air under that hull, just looking to, oh, there's a little bit of a bigger one. And ease off again. Put the engine back down, because it is possible with that twin step hull, if you corner too tight with the engine up, it will start to slip and even spin out if you really put too much on. So just ease off the power a bit, trim it down. Round the turn, complete it. Put the hammer down again. Lift that engine up, trim it up. Up to 40 knots. A little bit more trim. Really get that hull flying, and it stays so flat. Oh, and now you can feel the air under it. That is flying beautifully. There's a little bit of a swell. Just absolutely flies. 50 knots, 5,800 RPM. Look at that go. That is why they call it a sports SUV. This is not a wheelhouse boat. This is a sports boat with a lid on it. I know I've been banging on about how quick this boat is, and don't get me wrong, it really is. But for a small boat, it's also amazingly versatile. So just look at this stern platform area. We've obviously got the engine hanging in the middle, but we've also got a really nice bathing ladder that pops out. There are multiple lockers here. I mean, 1, 2, 3 lockers. Because this is actually a Norwegian boat, we've got the stern anchor. Normally you'd have a conventional bow anchor, so that would be yet another locker here for fenders and lines. And then all the way along here, underneath this cushion, there is actually a massive locker which not only holds the leg for the table, but you've also got a ski pole that slots in there, and of course you can lay your skis out in that locker. Now moving into the cockpit itself, there's a very versatile seat. So this whole seat, I'll put that cushion back there. This can obviously lie flat to make a sunbed, but it also sits up. You can have an aft-facing seat, or if I fold this all the way over, just push that right across, and then that locks into position there, and then you've got a forward-facing seat. There's also another bench here. Before I do that though, I wanted to point out these fender holders. You've got 2 here, and you've got 2 more along the side deck. So you've got 4 very neat little fender holders. And then out of here folds another bench, and there's a table that slots in here. So you've got a 4, possibly even 6-man dinette under the shelter of this hardtop extension. So that gives a nice sheltered seating area. Let me just pop that back. Then you've got this very nice wide side deck, tall bulwarks, very safe to move along. The whole wheelhouse is offset to starboard, so it's an asymmetric layout, but it does mean you've got a really good side deck here. Also point out, we've got a sliding window that lets a bit more fresh air into that wheelhouse. So moving forward along the side deck, first thing you come to is this little mini galley area. There's a nice little flip-up tap there. There's a pop-out station here which has the rubbish bin and a little pull-out gas cooker you can put on the table, cook yourself something to eat. And then into the wheelhouse itself. So got 2 sliding door sections here. That first one slides all the way forward. And then there is a second section here which has a little locking mechanism. Just fold that out, and another one in there, which, oh, sorry, can't get my thumb in there. There you go. So there you go. You've got the whole proper closed interior. So in the winter, there's a diesel heater on board, so this whole area can be heated up. But I also love the way it's got so many different opening sections. So there's a huge sunroof here, and again, that's a one-touch mechanism, so you don't have to stand there for hours while it winds across. There's an opening window here, and that's got a rather clever system whereby that comes forward, slides in, and then locks into place. And of course, when you open it, you've got a little sliding section there that you can open it as much or as little as you like, and then lock it into position. Bang, there, so you can hold it where you want, all the way open or just a little bit open if you just want some fresh air. And then this whole area here, again, really flexible seating. So these 2 seats turn round and face the aft bench, and there's another little lift up table there. So you can again create a nice internal dinette area, again for 4 people. So you've got the option of eating out, eating in. You can close the whole thing, keep it nice and warm and heated, open it all up in the summer and get plenty of ventilation through it. Pop that down. And the other thing I should point out is you've got 3 air vents there that keep that windscreen nice and clear of any fog or misting. Just going to open that up again. Ooh, set that off, one touch. Fold these back into place. There we go. And that one. And again, there's a halfway stage.
And then moving further forward, we've got another fender holder there. Nice grab rails everywhere you go. There's grab rails on the roof, grab rails on the side and on the back of the wheelhouse. And then a really nice long extension here that keeps the sun off that windscreen area. 2 proper windscreen wipers keep that clear. And then forward into the bow area itself, which has a rather nice sun pad area. So you can just chill out here in the sun without having to set up the one at the back. There's a nice little anchor locker up here. Obviously this is a Norwegian boat, so it's got the stern anchor so that you can tie onto an island and have a stern anchor out, but in a UK boat, this is where you'd have an electric windlass and the anchor. It's a good deep locker. We've just got the lines in here at the moment. And that unusual, slightly squared off bow that gives it a very distinctive look, but it's also a step through bow so that you can step off onto the beach or an island. Couple of cup holders in this forward sun pad. There's a glass section there which lets light through, and that's this boat's real secret, because you never know that there is actually quite a good cabin on board here. If I swivel this, lift that up, and under here is quite a good sized cabin. I'm just going to take my shoes off because I don't want to get any mud down there. But if I slide down here, there's actually quite a decent cabin. There's a double bed. This cushion section lifts out the way, so it makes it easier to get in and out without making a mess of that, but I've just got it made up so that you can see the side. Quite a decent double bed. Loads of scatter cushions, cup holder here, lights, charging sockets, and under here, a little heads compartment. Okay, admittedly, it's all in the same area, but for a 27-foot boat, it's remarkably versatile. You can sleep on it, you can eat on it, you can go outdoors, indoors, sunbathe, and let's not forget, this is a boat whose real focus is performance, and that it really delivers on. What I love about this Hydrolift is that rather than deliberately setting out to create the most practical boat possible with a big beamy hull that's uncomfortable, Bardecker's taken completely the opposite course of action. He's produced a focused driver's boat and then tried to make it as practical as possible. And he's actually succeeded remarkably well at that. Yes, there are a few small compromises. Being so narrow, it is quite tender. It does lean a little bit because of the weight of the wheelhouse when you're going slowly before it levels up. And because of all the extra structure, you sometimes need to duck down to see past a pillar or look through the roof. But overall, it works remarkably well. You've got a 50-knot boat in this version. You can do up to 65 knots with the twin engines, and yet you've also got a boat you can use all year round. So from that point of view, if it's somebody who wants a focused boat with practicality, there's very little else to touch it.